Okay, our agenda now for the rest of the meeting you see on the board. Rick Povarsky, our CEO, will come in a moment and give updates on some of the things that we've been doing, not just stats, but some of the other things that are going on too. After that, Tracy Lamb, our Public Awareness and Training Coordinator in Central Virginia, will come and share an update on the kinds of things that the Public Awareness Group has been involved with over the previous 3 months. Then we'll do a special locator recognition, and I'll save the excitement for that for just a few moments and recognize at least one person who's present for something pretty exceptional, we think. We'll take a short break after that, and then Debbie Hoffbauer will come, and what we'll do is go down memory lane and take a look at some of the things that have occurred in the past 10 years. Those of you who don't know, July 1st of this year marks our 10th year serving as the One Call Center in Virginia. And we're very excited about that, and it was fun for us putting this presentation together, and I think you'll enjoy it too as we look back at some of the things that have happened over the last 10 years. After that, we'll do door prizes, and of course the next important thing, we'll have lunch as well. So that's what the agenda looks like. At this point, I'll ask Rick to come and we'll go through some of the statistics and other things with the call center.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everybody. If you hold on 1 second, I got to clip this thing on. Don't want to have a malfunction. As we always do in our membership meetings, for those of you who this is their first time, we go over a little bit of our call center stats, and we'll start with that. Were reaching us, they'd hit us like in hours at a time, and everybody would call, and then they would stay on the line. They would stay on hold, because typically when you go through it at our center, you're going to, we've got enough T1s, enough agents that you do get through. But in both March and April, we saw it was a very unusual calling pattern where everybody was blitzing us within certain time frames and then staying on the line. So it really jacked up our ASA. It was kind of interesting. Both of those months, we initiated a critical ASA procedure within the organization, and we had where our help desk and our team leads were all on the phone taking normal calls. The executive staff handled the help desk calls, so we were all, Dave Price, Debbie, they were handling those type of calls that were coming through, and usually just taking notes so we could go ahead to the professionals and get them to handle the real issue. But it worked out very well, and we're sweating it, really trying to maintain stuff, and we came up with a 28-second ASA, and I think it's actually 28 seconds and some change, closer to 29 for March. The percent of abandoned calls, it shows it as 0.74%, less than 1%. Our goal is to be under 5%, and what that means is as somebody calls in, if they stay in hold for 60 seconds or longer and then they hang up. It's a measurement of frustration. And we have to be below 5%, and we're definitely under that. And the network busy is the percentage of calls that would receive a busy signal coming in. And what we do is a lot of call centers will busy you out. If you get to a certain load. We don't do that. We'd rather see it in queue, even if there's a big queue, so we can manage it. Our goal is to stay under 1%, and we've consistently stayed at 0% on that. Go to April. You can see 4,600 total tickets. Again, ASA 28 seconds and some change, percent of abandoned, very few people abandon. And that's why it drives the ASA up, because nobody abandons, nobody gets off the phone. They wait for us because they're used to that service. And again with April, it was that same type of thing. When you look at April of 2012 compared to April 2011, the total tickets were pretty close. So I think it was like around 3% increase. So it wasn't massive. But what we saw is everybody calling at the same hour, consistent with that. So you're really scrambling again. And that was another month where we did the critical ASA, and we had the help desk on normals and the executive staff doing help desk calls. And that was for incremental times as we went through the day. As soon as we reached a certain average ASA for the day, then it kicks in, the procedure for everybody to get on the lines. But worked very well. You go to May, and it dropped off a little bit, 4,500. You can see where it wasn't, the call volume didn't drop. The average daily wasn't that much lower. And actually, the total tickets increased a little bit, but our ASA was 9 seconds. For some reason, it just kind of it more normalized out, that call volume throughout the whole day, and it was easier, much easier to handle. Percentage of abandon rate, 0.06, again, pretty low, and then a 0% for network busy. We're in this. I'll go through the continuous system of improvement. For those of you, I think a couple of times ago, anybody here remember me talking about our ISO initiative? Anybody here while I was talking about it but just forgot about it? I must not have got the message across. We're working on an ISO certification, and it's been an incredible process for us. We've been going through this for about 2 years, and part of what we do is, as any kind of issue we have, it goes into a single database called our continuous system of improvement. And what I like to do in the membership meetings is go through some of the type of things that we see in this database and explain, to everybody here of those issues, and I'll go through some of those here. But before I do that, I'd like to talk a little bit about our ISO. In ISO, you have a stage 1 audit and then a stage 2. The stage 1, what that does is prepare you for the stage 2. And the auditor comes in and looks at everything you do. Are your processes and procedure in place that you can go ahead and move forward with the stage 2? Stage 2 becomes, and that was a 2-day audit. We had that a week ago, and it was pretty interesting. It was a 2-day audit. Typically, they tell you the results at the end of the second day. The end of the first day, our auditor passed us to move forward with the stage 2. So we're very excited about that. And then when we move to the stage 2 audit, that's when he spends a week with us, and they'll get into all everybody. They'll be auditing our agents, auditing everybody. Do they understand the process? I'm not going to go into the detail of ISO, other than, I'm a convert. I believe in this stuff. It's incredible what it's done for us as an organization. We've always felt like we had a lot of processes in place, but what ISO does is kind of creates the framework to put all those under, so you can really, it organizes it, and and for all of us, the way we present the material, everybody within the organization, the way we see things, the way we write procedures, it's really changed the dynamics of the organization. What I'll probably do is, since nobody remembers me talking about it a couple sessions ago, I'll repeat that. And by the way, we are scheduled for our stage 2 at the end of this month. You don't always get it your first time around, so if we do get the certification, when we have the next meeting in September in Roanoke, I'll talk about it, because it's incredible what's done for us as an organization, and certainly for everybody here in our membership. There's a lot of things you can apply to your own organizations on the management styles with this too. But with that, with the CSI, and I talk about all that because this is part of it. This is part of what we do. In our weekly executive staff meetings, we always review everything that goes into this database, and we look at trying to come up with a root cause and then try to come up with a way to resolve things. So I'll just briefly go over some of the things that we did have come through. We did have a call where a locator, this came into our help desk, and the caller's complaining, saying that the locator would not wait to gain access to a secured area. We do a little research, we start calling, and what we found out that the locator had spoke with the guard but could not get in because the guard wouldn't let him in. So, then that person went ahead and made some arrangements later and was able to gain access. A second one we had, and you'll see a lot of these really don't deal with us, as something that we're doing, but we're always kind of at the center. We always want to make sure we resolve any type of issues that happen. And the other thing that we'll do with this is as we look through these CSIs, we look to see is there any trending? Is there anything that we're seeing continually happening, and can we try to help improve that process, even if it's outside of our responsibility? Here's one where a utility had an internet outage. We did kind of redirect the ticket flow on this one. There was one emergency ticket that we had to retransmit back to this utility. So we resolved that. We had a complaint to the Department of Justice on VUPS that we did not have a procedure for the hearing impaired. And we're still working on this one, actually, but it's we do a TDY, I think, is that the proper acronym for it? Where it's a service that you can, and we've done this since day one, it's a service that anybody who's hearing impaired can subscribe to, where you have somebody that goes in and will transcribe what is being said and send it back to the caller. This person felt that wasn't good enough. They wanted to have more. They wanted to be able to email us and have an email communication going back and forth. We didn't feel that was sufficient, because we always have that process of verification of the information that's given to us. We want to make sure that the caller and our agent are in sync with what they're seeing in those descriptions. We don't feel an email is sufficient. But one of the things we are working on that we have been working on even prior to this is a web application for a homeowner ticket. But what we want to be able to do is make sure that there is that we have a parcel date and a point address for that address. So if a homeowner, somebody wants to come in on the internet, we've had a lot of requests for this. They key in something that, as long as there's a hit, they put in their address, they see it on the orthophotography, they say, yes, that's my house, then we would process it. If they don't get that, we would not. So we're in the process of working on that, but this one here, it is not complete. We're still working with a mediator with the Department of Justice. This has been a fun one. The fourth one I have is an excavator was calling in tickets for another excavator. Probably heard that one a lot. And so we went in, we talked to that person, advised them that they can't do that. That's actually against the law. And the last one I have, this was kind of a crazy one. We got a complaint to our help desk that as a caller, the excavator did not get an email confirmation for the work that was done. Well, we went and we're looking at reviewing it, so we reviewed the call from when they called us in, and in time of the call, the caller refused to give us their email address. So, it kind of goes, we don't have your email address, we can't send you an email. But that's a handful of these. A number of the stuff we have in there, too, is kind of stuff that's more internal. We'll put things in there, if we have a billing issue or we have a payroll issue, something like that, that all goes in there. The interesting thing about it is that you look at it and you can see everything, at one time, and then quarterly we go over this and look at, is there trending in these issues? Do we see something that's happening continuously that we can make a change? But I'll go ahead, and in September, if Steve lets me, he'll put me on the agenda, and I'll talk about ISO, because it's great stuff. It's pretty neat, and show you what we're doing with that. The next slide, Employee of the Quarter. For those of you who don't know, I think about in 2008, actually, Debbie, in her presentation, will talk about that, where we started doing our recognizing an employee, and then we do an Employee of the Year. Well, this quarter, it was Christy Ulrich, and Christy was actually, she works our help desk, and she was one of our original employees, and we have a lot of those, actually, that are still with us from day one. And started as an agent, worked her way up into the help desk. And Christy, she received two different commendations from two different people in talking about her willingness to help and assist other agents in their work if they have questions, because our help desk is used also as kind of a, it's our highest tier of our skill level, so they work to assist some of the newer agents too with any issues. So it was nice to see Christy get it. She's been with us for 10 years now, as of July 1st. So it's pretty neat to see her. Okay, the next one. All right, I guess that's it for me. But before Tracy talks about public awareness, I do want to talk. Steve did mention, we have been up and running for 10 years now. It's pretty amazing. We met with the board of directors last night, and I did a little presentation and talking about, because we had some board members that were there from the beginning, and we had some board members that started with us in the beginning, but they've left the board and not been involved with the organization for the last 8-9 years. Actually, our original attorney came too, Guy Tripp, who worked with us. And it was so much fun to be able to go over what this organization has done in the last 10 years. Talked a lot about some of the technologies that we've done, and I think Brent told somebody this morning I was acting like a proud papa or something, talking about this, because you do. I mean, it's neat. It's you go in and you look at what our staff, what you guys have accomplished as stakeholders, and it's been wonderful. The last 10 years has been so great as an organization. We've thoroughly, all of us have thoroughly enjoyed what we've been able to do, and thoroughly enjoy being with you guys, the membership, and being able to interrelate and try to provide the services that you see a need for. So I'd like to thank you guys for the past 10 years. So with that, I'll pass it off to Tracy.